A small Gulf Stream jet cuts through the gray December sky over northeastern Poland. The date is December 5th, 2002. Inside the cabin, 7 passengers sit in complete silence. 6 are CIA operatives. The 7th is a hooded detainee, shackled and blindfolded, about to disappear into a world that officially doesn't exist. At exactly 2:56 p.m., the aircraft touches down at Szczytno-Szymiany Airport, a tiny airstrip most locals have never heard of. Within minutes, the passengers are loaded into a black SUV with tinted windows. The vehicle races north along Rural Road 58, weaving through dense Polish forests until it reaches an isolated compound hidden deep in the woods near the village of Stare Kikuty. This is the beginning of one of the most controversial chapters in modern intelligence history. What you're about to discover is the real story behind the CIA's most secretive black site program, a hidden network of detention facilities that operated in complete darkness for nearly 5 years. The man in the SUV has no idea he's about to become part of an experiment that will redefine the boundaries of interrogation. He doesn't know that this remote Polish intelligence training center has been quietly transformed into something far more sinister. And he certainly doesn't know that his experience here will become the blueprint for a global network of secret prisons that will hold some of the world's most wanted terrorists. But here's what makes this story truly extraordinary. Everything I'm about to tell you remained completely hidden from the public for over 3 years. Not even Congress knew the full scope of what was happening. The existence of these facilities was known to fewer than a dozen people worldwide. Sometimes just the US president and senior intelligence officers in the host countries. This isn't fiction. This isn't speculation. This is the documented truth about how the CIA built a shadow prison system that operated across multiple continents, involving billions in secret payments, diplomatic immunity agreements, and techniques that push the absolute limits of international law. By the time you finish this video, you'll understand exactly how a small training facility in the Polish countryside became ground zero for one of the most classified programs in CIA history. You'll see declassified documents that reveal the true scale of these operations, and you'll discover why this particular black site became known within intelligence circles as the place where everything changed. What happened in those woods near Stare Kikuty didn't stay in Poland. The methods developed there spread to secret facilities in Thailand, Romania, Lithuania, Afghanistan, and locations that remain classified to this day. We're talking about a network of approximately 100 detention sites spanning the globe, from converted shipping containers on naval vessels to purpose-built interrogation centers hidden in plain sight. The story begins 3 months after September 11th, when the CIA received unprecedented authority to detain and interrogate suspected terrorists using methods that had never been officially sanctioned by the US government. But creating a global network of secret prisons required more than just authorization. It required allies willing to host these facilities on their soil, massive funding to construct and operate them, and complete operational secrecy. That December day in Poland, 2 senior CIA officers had already made a crucial stop in Warsaw. They visited the U.S. Embassy to collect 2 large cardboard boxes containing $15 million in cash, flown in via diplomatic pouch from Germany. This wasn't unusual funding for intelligence operations. This was payment for something far more significant. The money was delivered directly to Colonel Andrzej Derlatka, Deputy Chief of Polish Intelligence, in exchange for exclusive access to the Stare Kikuty facility. What the Polish government didn't fully understand was that they were essentially renting their sovereign territory to become an extension of American intelligence operations. The facility itself was perfect for the CIA's needs. Located 180 kilometers north of Warsaw, it was isolated from major population centers, surrounded by dense forest, and already equipped with the security infrastructure of a military intelligence training base. Most importantly, it featured a small airstrip capable of handling private aircraft. allowing for completely covert prisoner transfers. Within weeks of that first landing, CIA contractors began modifying the existing structures. They installed soundproofing, constructed specialized detention cells, and established communication systems that bypassed all Polish oversight. The compound was divided into zones, with only CIA personnel having access to the detention areas, but the Polish site was just the beginning. Intelligence documents later revealed that the CIA was simultaneously establishing similar facilities across multiple countries. The first black site had actually opened months earlier in Thailand, serving as the testing ground for what intelligence officials called enhanced interrogation techniques. The Thailand facility, codenamed Detention Site Green, was located at Udorn Royal Thai Air Force Base. This became the laboratory where the CIA developed the methods that would later be implemented across their entire network. The techniques tested there included temperature manipulation, prolonged stress positions, sleep deprivation, and waterboarding. What made these sites particularly effective was their legal ambiguity. Detainees held at black sites existed in a gray zone outside the traditional justice system. They weren't on U.S. soil, so domestic legal protections didn't apply. They weren't official prisoners of war, so Geneva Convention standards were disputed, and their locations were classified, making oversight nearly impossible. The operational model was remarkably sophisticated. Prisoners were transported using unmarked aircraft operated by shell companies with connections to the CIA. Flight plans were filed under false identities, and aircraft tail numbers were frequently changed to avoid tracking. Landing permissions were arranged through diplomatic channels, often involving payments to foreign intelligence services. Each facility was designed with specific purposes in mind. Some focused on initial interrogations of high-value targets. Others specialized in long-term detention and intelligence gathering. A few served as processing centers where prisoners were evaluated and either released or transferred to other locations within the network. The scale of these operations was staggering. Internal CIA documents suggest that over 100 individuals were detained across the black site network between 2002 and 2008. The total cost of the program exceeded $300 million, not including the substantial payments made to foreign governments for hosting these facilities. But perhaps most remarkably, this entire system operated with virtually no external oversight for nearly 3 years. Congressional intelligence committees were kept deliberately in the dark. The few briefings that did occur contained carefully sanitized summaries that revealed almost nothing about the true scope of operations. Senior lawmakers later testified they had no idea detainees were being held at facilities outside official military or FBI custody. The CIA's internal communications reveal a different picture entirely. Cables between headquarters and field stations discuss logistical challenges with clinical detachment, how to maintain prisoner health during extended isolation, which interrogation techniques produce reliable intelligence versus false confessions, the optimal temperature ranges for psychological pressure. These weren't rogue operations. Every aspect was documented, approved, and carefully managed through official channels. The agency developed detailed protocols for everything from prisoner transport to facility security. Medical personnel were assigned to monitor detainee health, though their primary concern was ensuring subjects remained capable of continued interrogation. The Polish facility became operational in early 2003, receiving its first high-value detainee within weeks of completion. The prisoner was processed using established protocols developed at the Thailand site: complete isolation in a windowless cell, constant artificial lighting or total darkness, depending on the interrogation phase, meals delivered on unpredictable schedules to disrupt circadian rhythms. Temperature control became a particularly effective tool. Cells could be heated to uncomfortable levels or cooled until detainees shivered uncontrollably. The psychological impact was immediate and sustained. Prisoners never knew what environmental conditions they would face from hour to hour. Sound played an equally important role. Speakers installed throughout the facility could blast music at debilitating volumes for days at a time. The constant noise prevented sleep and made communication between prisoners impossible. When silence moments finally came, it felt almost violent by comparison. The interrogation rooms themselves were designed with psychological principles in mind. Neutral colored walls that offered no visual reference points. Uncomfortable seating that forced detainees into stress positions during lengthy questioning sessions. Lighting systems that could simulate different times of day, completely disconnecting prisoners from natural time cycles. CIA psychologists consulted on every aspect of the facility design. They understood that disorientation and dependency were more effective than physical coercion for extracting information. The goal was to create an environment where cooperation felt like the only path to basic human comfort. Within months, the Polish site was processing multiple detainees simultaneously. Each prisoner followed a carefully planned progression through different phases of interrogation. Initial shock and disorientation. Intensive questioning using approved techniques. Gradual introduction of small comforts as rewards for cooperation. The facility operated with military precision. Guard rotations followed strict schedules. Medical checks occurred at predetermined intervals. Every interaction with detainees was logged and reported to CIA headquarters through encrypted communications. But by late 2003, operational security was becoming increasingly difficult to maintain. European human rights organizations were asking uncomfortable questions about unusual aircraft activity at small airports across the region. Investigative journalists were tracking flight patterns and connecting dots between mysterious landings and missing terrorism suspects. The CIA made a calculated decision to relocate their most sensitive operations. The Polish facility was gradually wound down, with remaining detainees transferred to newly established sites in Romania and Lithuania. The transition required months of careful planning to avoid detection. Romania offered even better operational conditions. The chosen facility was located just minutes from Bucharest, hidden behind railway tracks in an industrial area where unusual activity wouldn't attract attention. The building itself was unremarkable from the outside, blending perfectly into the urban landscape. Codenamed Bright Light, the Romanian site became home to some of the most wanted terrorism suspects in the world. The facility featured enhanced interrogation capabilities, including specially designed cells for waterboarding and other controversial techniques that push the boundaries of international law. The European Court of Human Rights would later determine that Romania actively colluded with CIA operations between September 2003 and November 2005. Government officials received substantial payments in exchange for providing cover and legal immunity for American intelligence operations on Romanian soil. Lithuania represented the final evolution of the Black Site program. Operating from February 2005 to March 2006, the facility, codenamed Detention Site Violet, incorporated lessons learned from previous operations. The site featured improved security measures, enhanced medical monitoring, and more sophisticated psychological pressure techniques. By this point, the CIA had refined their methods to an almost scientific level. They understood exactly how long different techniques could be applied before causing permanent physical damage. They knew which combinations of environmental stressors produced the most reliable intelligence. They had created a system that operated with ruthless efficiency. But the program's days were numbered. Investigative reporting was closing in on the truth. The Washington Post was preparing to publish details about the hidden global internment network. Congressional pressure was mounting for greater oversight of intelligence operations. The first public revelation came in November 2005, when major news outlets simultaneously published exposés detailing the existence of CIA black sites across multiple countries. The stories contained enough specific details to make official denials impossible. President Bush was forced to acknowledge the program's existence in September 2006, though he maintained that no detainees had been tortured or mistreated. The administration argued that enhanced interrogation techniques had prevented terrorist attacks and saved American lives. Human rights organizations painted a very different picture. The truth about CIA black sites forces us to confront uncomfortable questions about the balance between national security and human rights. This shadow network operated for years in complete secrecy, involving dozens of countries and affecting over 100 detainees. Today, most facilities have been shuttered, but the legal and ethical debates continue. These hidden chapters of modern intelligence history remind us that even in democracies, power without oversight can lead to extraordinary abuses that challenge our most fundamental values.